Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to 2019 LCK Summer. It is even here between Kingzone Dragon X and SKT. And it always is, because it's always 3 games with me. You get your value for money here at the LCK with us.
In the second match, at least. Ask and ye shall receive. I, for one, am very happy about this. I want to see who for sure is the better team between Kingzone Dragon X and SK Telecom T1. I think Kingzone is actually pretty relieved to be on blue side in this game. I think it does relieve some pressure from Cuzz's champion pool so they can try to first pick something. But can SKT be crafty and come away with the first 2 picks on red side that actually are the cherry on top to their compositional victory for them in pick and ban for game number 3?
Well, here we are, and we'll find out whether they do have an answer right here. Aurelia going to be the first ban, of course, has been banned on blue side every single time. Sylas going to be the follow-up once again. We'll see whether it deviates from game number 1. Gragas is going to be the change as Kingzone take that one away.
On we roll with the pick and ban here. 3rd 3-game series in a row for SK Telecom T1. Here's a bit of an interesting point, though. SKT's win rate so far on red side is 0. Now, I don't think that's necessarily that important with just 2 series played, but it's just a thing to say. And I do like Kingzone being able to find a jungler that really works out. Speaking of junglers that really work out, shout out to Haru on only his 2nd game for the year, picking up MVP. And he should have been brought in for some champ pool things, just while Clit hadn't been fantastic in the first week back. Of course, that's only 1 week's worth of games. Be banned, first pick available. Kingzone are going to take Aatrox. They will rip away the Aatrox this time, Cuzz a noted Aatrox jungle player.
Yep, they snap it, and of course SKT managed to pick Aatrox in the first 2 games back-to-back. So Kahn, we're going to see him on something different. The Rise available. Looking down the line at champions that made it through the draft that haven't, Elise is now here, and also the Nico that was banned away from Naehyun. But SKT are going to get rid of Desire Rakan that Deft and TusiN piloted so well in game 1.
Just thinking about combos that would really be relevant here, and there weren't too many. And
wow, we're doing it again.
So interesting to see them go the Ezreal Tom Kent route against Desire Rakan. You would think a Morgana or a Lux or something to try to punish Rakan if Mata bit off more than he could chew, but they want to try to return to a game where they can find that mid lane Ezreal Tom Kent state where they don't lose that mid lane outer turret as early as they did in game number 2.
Well, Haru thinking about the Rek'Sai here, being very vocal as you can see on the screen in the middle there, but they are going to lock that one away. So she's going to be burrowing her way through into the jungle. And now Kingzone Dragon X, what are they going to be able to pick there? Because already the Sejuani and the Gragas, 2 of Cuzz's best champions, already on the bench. Rek'Sai taken away, and if SKT now bans things like the Olaf and other of the key junglers, there could be a few less options for Cuzz.
But what do you definitely ban is a bit of a struggle, because the one thing Kingzone can say is, I'm happy SKT has to pick 1 more champion, because right now we haven't shown anything. Aatrox could definitely be a jungle pick, and you think that SKT want to take a flex pick at Teddy's pick here to try to, you know, give them a lot of options for a last pick, so they're actually just going to ban out mid lanes. I assumed it would be something that would be flexible as the first ban here. I wonder if the Rise is going to be available for SKT to pick up again. Hasn't necessarily been performing as reliably this tournament.
Yeah, well, LeBlanc and something like the Akali or the Rise could theoretically be the next ban. I'd like the Akali ban to come in here, just because FLICKR has been defaulting to it. Even after poor performances, he's able to bounce back very well as Karthus ban. I was wondering whether that was going to come in, because I was going to ask you whether there was a way Kingzone could orchestrate themselves a Karthus draft. Irrelevant now with that ban.
When you see an Aatrox, turns out an early Requiem might mean that first access the Bloodwell, so I don't mind the ban. And here is the Akali ban you called for, being a go-to for some of our mid laners, even after all the nerfs. Does SKT just take Rise and work out the rest of the situation later?
I don't mind it. Can flex towards the top side if that's where Rascal is going to be playing the Aatrox, but no. FLICKR picks up the Zoe, was very vocal about being extremely confident on this particular champion in spring. Haven't seen it so far in summer. Excited to see that one make its way back onto the Rift for FLICKR.
Trying to play to a mid lane, try to force a 1-3-1 comp to try to group and defend against the inevitable siege of Zoe. Seems to be the thought behind the Zoe priority has been way down in summer season. Rise left open, Rise lapped up, so there is some flexibility, and will we be seeing another jungle Aatrox this game? Kingzone have a lot of info. They know everything except the top laner of SKT.
And they know that Zoe is going into the mid lane, so they can pick something against it. It will be the Nico,
so
as the jungle will be occupied by the Aatrox.
So jungle Aatrox, and now you still don't know who your top laner is, because it could be AP Nico mid lane, AP Nico top lane, on hit Nico. A lot of things could be happening here. That means that SKT's window of viable picks gets narrower. You're just like, wait, we still don't know. We really wanted last pick. So this is a good way to try to trivialize last pick, because now you go from having all the cards because you're last pick to being forced onto something much more of a Mr. Fix-It champ.
Yeah, absolutely a broader choice here in the Kennen, but it doesn't feel like SKT got the power counter pick, but it also doesn't feel like Kingzone have the ace in their sleeve with their first pick option. Often it's Sejuani that feels so important, as well as things like the Silas that can go completely nuts.
Conspicuous that Kahn had Jace open at last pick, and that also would be able to lane against just about anything. Doesn't go that way. Want a bit more AP damage. Could, of course, be on hit, but that's largely been QV only when it comes to the press the attack. Kennen.
I find this interesting. I think that most people would think that Naehyun would be piloting the Nico. It's one of his favorite champions, and his Pop Blossoms have been some of the best here in summer so far, but it will be Rascal on the top side of the map with the Nico.
It's high potential playmaking from Kingzone and reliable siege into teamfight from the side of SKT. Really intriguing. Remember, you could see some cool things in this game. For example, Realm Warp, and then an early use of the Pop Blossom to bring that ult and active the moment the Realm Warp comes through. Possible. Tom Kench Rise, not good enough in game number 2, but how much of that was the smart push forward and 3 buff on the Kha'Zix, and how much of that was a misexecute on the side of Kingzone Dragon X? A lot of potential, but again, this comp pretty much always does what it says on the tin. The siege with Zoe is amped up. Around that siege, Zyra Kahn, Rek'Sai. Teamfight with a flanking Kennen. They were kind of forced into Kennen, but they are forced into a comp that's reliable.
Yeah, certainly is reliable and will be reliable throughout the entirety of the game. So excited to see how it's going to be piloted as we get onto the Rift for game number 3 in the final of the night. SKT fans desperate for a bounce back for the #1 team from spring. The team that barely scraped in to a missed opportunity.
Remember,
in the MSI final,
if Kingzone beat SKT today, on the most recent time they have played every other of the 9 teams in the league, they would have won. And that is so big for an org that went for a rebuild, whose roster on paper, you're like, I don't know about this. Rascal was okay when he subbed in, didn't play a lot. Cuzz, I mean, ran the Royal Road and then was a sub for a year behind Peanut.
Yep.
Naehyun, you know, remembering Clown Noses and Quickshot and Deficio popping Party Poppers on Origin, right? It's a bit of a misfit org in terms of this initial lineup, and yet it's really come together quickly. But that was a week with the Naehyun version, and while Naehyun had a very good game #1, can he stand up to the test? Because it's enough to say game 1 against FLICKR of a best of 3. It's another thing to say game 3 of a 1-1 series that could mean so much for contendership for top spot in Korea.
And what's happened yet again is that Cuzz has been spotted out in his initial clear, the red buff where he started. Good vision available here from SKT.
That was a very big feather in the cap in game number 2, remember?
Yeah.
So that means some predictable pathing versus the Rek'Sai, who we should mention is going for the Ultra Rek'Sai comfort of full top side clear for a quick level 3.
Yep, that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to be able to head down towards the Raptor camp to complete that one. We'll see whether he continues on as FLICKR, putting down more vision, will take away the Blast Cone.
Ah, look at this. Kahn has gone Unsealed Spellbook, so dropping the Klepto, staying in the same tree.
Yeah.
But wanting some options like Ignite to try to all-in the AB Nico from time to time. I guess the theory is that whenever he walks up for a Klepto auto, he gets the Q in the face, and that pushes the wave and harasses. Reason why people love Victor and other mages, but mostly Victor and Nico, into Kennen in the top lane is that when he walks up, just put down your Q if you're the Nico, or your E if you're the Victor, push the lane, and also get that harass in, so less free Klepto autos in a range versus range matchup.
Has also given away the fact that he is going to be going the AP route on the Kennen. Of course, the most recent Kennen that we saw was the on-hit variety. Kahn wanting to make sure he has more impact in the team fights. Here for SKT.
Aftershock for Cuzz from the jungle. The last time we saw the jungle Aatrox this season, it was Conqueror to continue what we would see in top lane. In the past, though, Keswick Cup and also in the summer season, it was Aftershock, just because you would get those resists. No free turret dives like before, but some free tankiness might mean the turret dives are still on.
Yeah, certainly good news, as Rascal's going to find himself a heck of a lot of damage there onto Kahn.
Yeah, I mean, this lane's rough.
Yeah. Pretty rough here at this stage as well. Good snap. Haru is going to be trading the Rift Scuttlers this time around. Not exactly as lucky as he was in game number 2, which is good news if you're a Kingzone fan. And also good news if you're a fan of League of Legends. That's a great pick-off there from TusiN, getting the Devour, but the Blade Call is even better there from Teddy. Trade going to be won by SKT pretty handedly.
So you know in a wrestling match where both people do cool moves and they get up and it's even? That's what it felt like in this 2v2. Everyone used their buttons and the health trade was even. So you almost want to clap and say, all right, more of this, more active fighting. And Haru says, as soon as possible, please. I'm ready to get a kill.
Deft is going to be able to pick up these minions here underneath this turret to try and even things out. The back is going to complete there from Haru. So abated as far as pressure is concerned. Here in the mid lane, slight advantage for Naehyun, but does have the wave in a great position.
And he's picked up an exhaust, so we get to get back to the fun that is, of course, Zoe's W.
Yeah, I feel like we replaced Zoe with Silas for a little while, and we had the hijack shenanigans breaking the brain of every caster ever, and now we're back to the Zoe situation where all of the summoner spells come out, and we have to think quickly as to which the heck version
Rascal
was there, as Rascal's going to wander himself into the enemy jungle and get punished for it immediately. Flash is expended, but no first blood just yet.
Actually, that works out okay for Rascal because it's not Haru's flash is traded. That's where the top laner wins, right? When your jungler trades for the enemy top laner's flash, and then you have a flash advantage to all in lane. Notice that he'll have ignite opportunities in a minute's time with that unsealed spellbook option. If he could have a flash advantage in lane, there's all in potential, but it's just flash for flash. So an honest Nico versus an honest Kenneth on the top side.
This bottom lane still continuing to trade things out. Slight advantage as far as the farm is concerned for Teddy, but Zyra Kahn is a pretty difficult lane to navigate for any duo. And TusiN and Deft are more about not dying rather than straight up winning at this stage of the game. Control ward there in the back of the pit, spotted there by Mata. As the Ocean Drake just gets frustrated.
You guys are wondering why would you put a control ward there if you're not going to start it? What you do is you put a control ward in a spot where the enemy won't just path and normally see, i.e. the river, and then if you're making topside camps like we see Cuzz doing, you don't just lose the Drake instantly as a result because you can spot it out and you know if the enemy started it. Speaking of knowing.
Yeah, Infernal Chains is going to land, gets the third knock-up as well as Kahn gets down to basically no health, and Rascal steals away the kill. The Cuzz practically solo.
There was a ward in the river, but I guess he plopped over and it wasn't noticed because that was just a full rotation of damage and you don't even need Conqueror. Pops him down. First goal of the game to Kingzone.
Really nicely done. Rascal with some awkward items right now, but after that first blood, he's going to go back and have a much better back timing with teleports still available.
And again, just so people are clear, with that control ward bot side, you can camp for longer and not know that you're just sucking your thumb while the enemy gets a free Drake. So you see it just around where the tree is inside the camp, but also at the back of the pit is a viable spot.
And now you got Cuzz pathing towards that bottom side. Grand Entrance comes in. Deft just buffers the Arcane Shift. Things are going to be okay. Blade Caller gets some good return damage, however, and the Tongue Lash is not going to find the mark. This bottom side matchup is just so intense between these two. Just the mechanical prowess of both Teddy and Deft in the AD carry position, and then the experience of TusiN and Mata just makes this matchup so close, stylistically and mechanically. So fun to watch.
But isn't it such a different look with them playing a couple of games of Ezreal Tam? You think of Ezreal Tam, you think of Gen G with poor JJ and Ruler, you think of Frey and Gorilla, and that's because what does this duo do? Maybe not as well as before Tam catching us, but plays the weak side, just deals with no jungle help and then goes mid lane and can make plays. So it kind of telegraphs, hey, we're playing top side is kind of what it telegraphs, and so far that's worked out. Because his bot side just present for a counter gank, but it's definitely KingZone subverting expectation, because this year, Deft has been the icing on the cake, rather than the cake, the icing, just about everything for KingZone Dragon X.
Yeah, it's been Cuzz and Rascal that have been overperforming, and in fact, the stars of the show at the moment. I don't think Deft has picked up one MVP so far. Is down towards the bottom side, a lot of damage going down. The return trade is just too good from SKT. Minions also helping out, down to about 300 health, is the Ezreal. Haru lurking, looking for Cuzz. Naehyun with the Realm Warp available and Zoe off to the side.
Haru's got a nice angle on Naehyun.
Yeah, Phase Rush is going to come in, flash immediately. Doesn't waste any time. Trouble Bubble doesn't land.
That is definitely an evacuation first, because any sort of lock-up into a Trouble Bubble is GG for the Rise. Now, love to see SKT turn this into more.
Yeah.
Blue buff.
Haru gonna jump in. Cuzz just takes away the blue for himself and says, nope, you ain't stealing nothing. Maybe a little bit greedy there from Haru. Did have the smite available, but would have liked FLICKR to steal that instead.
Let's see if Rise has a tier back time.
Whoa, this is a big teleport coming in from the Rise. Mata now is able to battle dance. Huge extended range, as it was actually Rascal that gets in. He's still looking for more Mata. There's the grand entrance. Pop Blossom. He wants more ultimates. Traded. Blade Caller doesn't land onto Deft, but it did zone him and kept him alive.
An extension of the close fighting we've had in the early laning phase, this time with a teleport rolled in that does not bear fruit. Teleport advantage for Rascal. They can't cement a kill, and they don't even get double flash as Mata uses the quickness to get the hell out of dodge.
Yeah, really nicely done. A lot of buttons on cooldown now. Both ultimates here from the SKT bottom lane as Deft very, very low. Haru lying in wait, looking to burrow his way in here. There's the Blade Caller. TusiN does get the Devour, but remember, he's so slow. Arcane Shift. He's going to come down. Flash still there from Deft, but he knows that that ultimate is not on him. He's waiting. Oh, Haru, do you have it? The Prey Seeker's going to have to find the mark, but it doesn't, and TusiN survives.
TusiN's a god. He played that perfectly. He even moved away from his 80 carries so that with AoE, Haru couldn't just inevitably kill him when he came through after the Void Rush. Awesome stuff from TusiN. How does he find mechanics on Tahm Kench?
I don't know. After the Rakan game, though, you can understand that he's the man to do it if there's going to be anyone. Ocean Drake here very early, although 10 minutes, not exactly the earliest that we've seen. Cuzz looking to steal it. He does. Can he actually flash to get himself out of the way? The answer is no, because he doesn't want to. Naehyun delivers himself. It's a switcheroo between the Rise and, of course, the Aatrox, and he has no way of getting out of that. True Shot Barrage lands onto Teddy, but not Mata.
Wow. Naehyun trading places with his jungler there was very curious, and yet SKT were in full retreat and they didn't have enough info to know to kill the Rise, who came in 1v3.
I guess we're going to have to watch that movie again, Pop.
That means that KingZone get very high value Ocean Drake. Remember, this is everybody loves Ocean Drake on the side of KingZone when it comes to laners, so
yeah, true. It's only Cuzz that doesn't care, right?
Nico, Rise, Ezreal all love to be active and spamming their spells. Let's watch the replay on this one. Come on, show us the TusiN play. I don't want to watch this one. The TusiN play was actually insane. Nice steal, though, from Cuzz.
Yeah, it was.
His smite button is true.
And he's level 8.
With Aftershock, which is why he doesn't die instantly. He's going out. It's coming in. Oh, dear. But it still works out for KingZone. Again, the sickest thing about TusiN's exit is that he blocks the Prey Seeker. Normal. Maybe Void Seeker. Normal. The Q there from the Rek'Sai. He was going to tank the ultimate, but if he walks the same way towards the turret, he's going to be next to Ezreal. And then it's just going to be changing targets after the Void Rush. He walked away and then knew the thick skin duration enough to not die. Outstanding escape.
Just ridiculous. That is the mathematical outplay. Just shows that you can have mechanics on absolutely every champion.
And hey, I got an Ocean Drake. Cuzz is going for more.
And he's level 9 now. Still 2 levels ahead of Haru. Gigantic as far as the CS advantage is concerned. Trouble Bubble has a lot of range, but doesn't find anyone other than Shelly.
Health bar is noted here, not being controlled by that control ward.
Yeah, no paddle star value there from FLICKR. Haru still looking for the tunnel. Mata's going to make first roam. Abyssal Voyage available here from TusiN. Teleport to come in from KingZone. They really want this one. Shelly will be taken there from Cuzz. Okay, that's a Trouble Bubble landing onto Deft immediately. The Devour has to be used. Mata takes a lot of damage, but there we go. Kahn obliterated. Mata is super squishy. Has to get the heck out of there, and Teddy has nowhere to run. Featherstorm's in, but Cuzz just jumps down on top of him. Abyssal Voyage is a special delivery of the kill as the E doesn't land, but Deft should have an Arcane Shift eventually.
They're gonna have to use more tools, they'll get it. Ezra just jams the Rift Herald trying to get it in early. Naehyun walking down. Will this be an execute? That should be a pretty cool execute here.
Yeah, Marta should be able to get a grand entrance eventually.
Will this be one turret shot or two? It actually wants it to be one, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and Naehyun knew what was going to happen there. Rift Herald though, shoved down in the mid lane. Haru looking for the knock-up, gets the Chilling Smite. As, okay, that is going to be the Void Rush to finish it off. The Trouble Bubble landed point blank after the portal jump. And that's an easy secure there for SKT from the mid lane.
Cuzz too greedy. That's the Rift Herald gold on the initial charge, but does go down after it. Still, overall, big victory for Kingzone. The reason for it will be clear in the replay. Rascal understood, just actually split away SKT into two forces and set up something approaching a front-to-back team fight rather than SKT were trying to split. If you watch the replay here, note they don't want to do damage to put the Rift Herald below 2,000, just they want the backside to open up so they can get a one burst onto the Rift Herald. Does not spawn up to 2,000. But watch how Rascal approaches this. He doesn't dive forward. He tries to allow Kingzone to fight as one rather than be split. And that means that Haru and FLICKR at the top side don't do damage after the initial salvo by Kingzone.
Yeah, absolutely no chance to get in there. Divide and conquer. You can see still big smile from Naehyun. He always has a big smile. As our imported EU talent is working out real well.
Is it wrong that it definitely is wrong, just to head this up, but I kind of want them to lose 2-0 in the future just to see the level of Naehyun smile we see.
Well, he's lost before and he was still smiling. So, I don't know. I think that he's just, that's just his face.
He is an award-winning loser.
Yeah.
He is.
Which sounds like a slight, but actually he's just really good at being a sports...
I mean, you say that, but it is a slight because he did have the longest losing streak of any pro player.
But if you can keep your spirits up, that's still good.
You could find a silver lining in just the darkest of days, can't you, Atlas?
You gotta have a shtick, you know? That's fine.
Well, keep doing what you're doing, mate.
Deft and Cuzz. On the bottom side, Naehyun's going to turn up as well. 4 members here converging on this outer turret. No plates to go down. 4,000 gold the lead for Kingzone. Mountain Drake seems to be what's on the menu. As our Kingzone not going to wait for an SKT leash this time around. I think they might be starting this one up. Now TusiN and Deft pushing towards this low health turret. Teddy does have the Blade Caller for some extra damage. Rascal just throwing so many buttons at Kahn right here. And the Glacial Augment starting to bear fruit as the Super Soaker has been completed.
Your lane sucks to play in this matchup because there's so many things to try to juke. If you use the Super Soaker, which is the GOP, in case you're wondering, off cooldown, you're throwing out a Q here, an E there, and you're also harassing with the GOP. So you're always going to be tanking damage. As Kahn, who's doing his best Hecarim impression with the summoners at the moment. Yeah. Notice that Kahn says, well, I'm going to buy a power thing now. I'm not going to go Proto Belt and try to be fine. I'm boned in the 1v1. And he's going for ultra TP plays. Is Kahn. He does not have a deep lane ward to punish Deft and TusiN.
Nope, and they're going to continue shoving this one forward. Cuzz actually waiting for these health bars to be low enough, but there is still a Flash and a Feather Storm. Teddy is not going to be dying anytime soon. FLICKR comes down just to check this Dragon Pit, and True Shot Barrage is going to make sure that this wave continues shoving relentlessly towards SKT.
Teddy chose to stay in the bot side as the Rascal went back. He now knows about Cuzz.
Yeah, Cuzz knows that he knows, though. He's going to just make sure that the pressure is there for this tower to be guaranteed. Second tower going down in favor of Kingzone. Top lane outer just fell, and this gold lead is only going to extend.
But if you think about how this game has gone, Kingzone's made the aggressive move, Kingzone's been able to pay them off.
And how have they won all summer? It's exactly that MO.
Really similar, Atlas, especially with the beautiful defense from TusiN earlier. Cuzz, onto the Mountain Drake. They already took the turret, so you know Zaya's pulled away and SKT won't be in formation. Mountain Drake's going to go down. They're stacking him up.
Yeah, that is the second Drake, but the first Mountain. And Mountain Drakes, I feel, just have so much extra value if they're on a Kingzone squad, especially one that has Realm Warp and Abyssal Voyage, because they love starting off Baron. They are really happy to press their buttons before their opponent and take what they can on the map. I feel like this opportunistic play is something that a lot of our LCK teams could learn from.
And I think a lot of LCK teams could learn from this Neeko game, because I feel like Neeko priority is criminally low at the moment. This champion is so strong and competitive because of the flex nature, and there's always a build. it can be press the attack, it can be Glacial Augment, which is really strong right now, and it can be mid, which is already a lot of things it can be, and it wins in one of those ways against most matchups. So I'm a really big fan of it. It has been first pick, first ban status at some points in the LPL this season.
Yep.
So for it to fall through and not be contested at all, I think is just a quirk of drafting that needs to change.
That was a really cute Grand Entrance there used from Mata just to make sure that he doesn't get sniped. Trouble Bubble doesn't land on the TusiN as he eats up his grey health. Thick skin very helpful here when the Zoe is roaming around with a fair bit of damage. Now Luden's Echo completed. And this is the beginning of the mid-game where Zoe is going to shine. SKT will be looking to FLICKR to control King Zone to the best of their ability, and it's going to be real difficult as they have fallen behind. Haru looking to start a play, but Naehyun clears out that minion wave almost effortlessly.
They'll be looking to FLICKR, but they'll actually be leaning on FLICKR as there's a bit of active trading between TusiN and Deft. Reason I say that is everyone else is kind of between items. The moment it's Proto Belt, you know, things need to come in. The Essence Reaver's not enough yet compared to 2-item Ezreal. So the only power lead is in FLICKR versus Naehyun in terms of their immediate matchup and just how powerful Sork Shoes plus Luden's is onto the Zoe. So if those bubbles are going wide, around that, lots of wins are available for King Zone. As one of my favorite cycles, the Clarity was up on TusiN, but sadly, it doesn't stay on the Rift too long.
No, it doesn't. He's going to use it there. Just gets his flashback and is making his way back out. Glacial Shroud has been picked up there as well. I wonder whether that is going to be a Zeke's Convergence.
You would assume
something
so.
else.
You'd definitely assume so with where the items are going right now.
And also with where King Zone are going, Abyssal Voyage aggressively into a fight just to activate it. I like the idea.
Stronger sooner, as here we go.
Yeah, Cleanser's going to be traded here between FLICKR and TusiN. Realm Warp just to join, but the Lightning Rush is going to get Kahn out of there, but King Zone is still in. Okay, Cuzz looking for more, gets the reset. World Ender, doesn't matter about the Trouble Bubble landing because Zoe is dead and Cuzz does have that ultimate available. True Shot Barrage avoided from SKT, but they are playing so scared, and you can understand exactly why.
A 1-for-0, but now a 5v4, and getting mid lane outer turret with their eyes on Baron with the Mountain Drake is a nice enough backup objective, even if it's not a multi-kill. They walk up, they get the turret, tried to re-engage, did Kahn, but first kill comes through, and you just know that's always golden for the Aatrox.
And you saw that it was desperation as well from Kahn with that engage. He just couldn't make it out in time. The Lightning Rushes had ended, and they'd just gone the wrong way. Good read from Deft and TusiN and the rest of King Zone. Abyssal Voyage going to come in one more time, and that is going to secure the inner turret on the bottom side. King Zone playing as if they have a Baron buff.
My favorite thing about how they play is there's never something that's happening out of step about what other people are doing. You see the Ryze walk up and take turret aggro so they can get a trade, and you're like, oh, that's cool, what does it do? But obviously, Tahm Kench's already mid Abyssal Voyage to back it up and guarantee the turret. This is a team playing as a team richer than just 5 powerful players. It's not a dream team, this is dream team play on the side of King Zone. The chase down comes in, you know FLICKR's always going to be very steadfast with his flash, we know his reputation there. Finally uses it, but it's a lot of space for King Zone to chase, and like you mentioned, Kahn goes in trying to make something. TusiN predictably on point, going gold.
Yeah, really, really nicely done. Deft also hit absolutely every ability and every auto attack available onto FLICKR just before that happened, so shout out to him as well for securing that. True Shot Barrage flies through. Good smite timing there from Haru to not guarantee that for Deft. Waits until afterwards and says thanks for the lead.
And let's see what Kahn's next item is, because he's got the I can kind of build everything items done. Very unlikely to be a Void Staff. You would assume Morellonomicon, but it's not double pen, so you know, it does something, and it doesn't really reduce that much healing either. I mean, I guess you kind of need it against Aatrox.
Having some flat penetration is also better than having none, and he's gone for the Merc Treads, so there's an idea there, but I think I'd like just Oblivion Orb and then build a real item after that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Not enough of that happens in the LCK, actually.
Because it's jungle Aatrox also, you're not as worried about the ramifications of him being, you know, without healing.
Yeah.
If it's full items, if Aatrox is the most fed, you just go the Oblivion Orb, turn it into Morellonomicon, and grin and bear it that you're not getting the most gold value. Speaking of said Aatrox, 2 levels above Haru.
Yeah, he's been 2 levels above him since level 7, I'm pretty sure.
But who dies?
Hard farming.
With the almost 2 items on the cannon, how do they kill people unless FLICKR's doing all the heavy lifting? Is something they're finding is a problem because it's 3 Merc Treads on the frontliners here.
Yeah, and how do they actually catch up to Kingzone as well? Because this Nico now has the Spooky Go Super Soaker combo that all of these Nikos are going to pick up.
Yep.
And it just means you control the battlefield so well. Kingzone have already showed us that with Naehyun piloting this particular Glacial Augment build Nico. And it just seems to work so easily at exactly this stage of the game, much like it would if you had Zoe in a meta past, right? Zoe would control the battlefield in a similar way with the Trouble Bubble, but can't because it's trumped by the Nico play.
And in a different game, you're pushing in, you got outer turrets down. Oh crap, I'm trying to take my Raptors. Trouble Bubble over the wall.
Yeah.
Same scenario with Rek'Sai pathing up, with Tremor Sense to not get jumped, and also to look for an aggressive play. Both those champions from behind may not be Olaf, but they do kind of feel a lot more balanced, don't they, when they don't have that leash. So right now it feels like SKT have a lot of champions mid-rangey outside of the Zoe. They're struggling to find relevance, and meanwhile Kingzone have, you know, just a lot of open doors for them to potentially walk through, and they've been the best team this season to see an opportunity and take advantage of it.
Yeah, and they don't wait a beat either in order to do that. I just want to take a moment to point out Cuzz and sort of his evolution as a player, because there have been times past where he's had a rough game like he had in Game 2 and feels a little bit absent, feels like he's not willing to make the plays the game following because it affects his confidence, right? But in this game, Cuzz just completely reset and has gone back to his dominating play style that has won them so many games in the past. And I think it just says a lot about his evolution, his maturity as a player as time has gone on. Because when he made his debut in Longzhou so long ago, he was extremely young and was the solo queue prodigy. And it feels like now he's finally finding his footing as a professional player rather than that solo queue king.
The draft behind it did him some favors as well. Remember that 5th pick Kennen, just because they just had so little clarity on what's going on in many areas. The Aatrox ended up being the matchup. You could see him getting counterpicked, getting early killed, and then it falling back to those old patterns Atlas. But out with the old, in with the new. Kingzone, a lot of map control. They're very aggressive so far, and they turn on to Baron in trademark Rise fashion.
Yeah, and the shape splitter there blocked the paddle star, which was absolutely adorable. This Baron going down extremely fast, already down to below half health as Mata. Also getting obliterated. He's so slow. Kahn looking to get into the pit. It is going to be secured by Kingzone, but now Kahn finds himself in amongst the team. There's no follow-up from SKT as Cuzz. He has the reset. No trouble bubble, no worries.
And there's a Kingzone Baron, because guess what? They had multiple smites. It's TusiN with Unsealed Spellbook. It looks close. The Rek'Sai's in the pit, but Kingzone say, we've done enough. This is the time we pull the trigger.
And this was the best teleport you could have hoped for as well, as Kahn was trying to make his way in.
But look at what they do. They look and say, we can't control the backside of the pit. We can know exactly when to smite and what our range is. That is why they get the Baron, they get out. How many teams from Korea peel off that Baron Atlas? I'm saying it's a number well above 6.
Yeah, I think so as well. But not Kingzone. Kingzone are a team that says, we've got more smites than them. This is a guaranteed Baron.
And look, that can go wrong, right? There's always the chance.
MVP was in the LCK not so long ago.
How many damn Cho'Gath smite combos went wrong?
Oh, God, yeah. And the Callista combos that went wrong. No, we're guaranteed to have this Baron. Nope.
But if you did everything right to that point, and that play works way often than not, because you got the communication of, wait, our range is this, and you don't pull the trigger, you just chose not to go through a win condition, you cultivate it for yourself. It may not be 80-20, but Kingzone is that 65-35 team. They do know when to pull the trigger. And that's why it's so cool to see they're not just trigger happy. You know, they have lost in this series. They have been forced to fight for it. They actually know when to pull the trigger.
Yeah, and I also think that if you're an LCK fan, you should be a Kingzone fan right now, because they are currently teaching the rest of the LCK why we're losing internationally. Because this style wins. The style where you take risks, where you've stacked the deck in your favor, but you do take the risks and you do push forward. That's how you win games. And we'll see whether SKT's going to learn, because Teddy just learned a hell of a lesson there. Had to use his ultimate just to get out of the way of a potential flash in from a Cuzz Q.
Multiple lanes here. Best of luck. Top side.
Oh no, Kahn.
Naehyun flashes up, so not going to be the all-in available there. Kahn trying to catch Haru unawares. 2 levels up, he snaps back.
Yeah, he's going to land it. The Infernal Chains are in there, but Haru is able to keep his distance. And oh my god, the damage onto Teddy, but it was mostly the damage onto the turret as Rascal secures that one. Inner goes down in the mid lane as well. The dominoes are starting to line up and just fall immediately down. It is an 11,000 gold lead approximately here for Kingzone as Cuzz. He's got a G8. He's not even scared of getting hit by a trouble bubble.
Yeah, I mean, this is not starting to line. This is Megaphone. Guys, you guys are in real trouble.
Right, okay, we're ready for that. The money shot of knocking down the first domino. Is that happening right now? We're teeing that one up in slow motion.
I mean, Kingzone's not knocking on heaven's door here. The ecstasy of beating every team in Korea the last time they faced them is right next to them, unless SKT can pull off some power plays. There's no shockwave here to find them all.
It's going to have to be an absolute miracle. I don't think that we're going to have a repeat of the slow and steady demise of SKT in their loss against the FLICKR Freaks that took an incredibly long time in game number 2 last time SKT went out onto the Rift. Now it's just Kahn getting slowed for days, Rascal controlling SKT, and inhibitor turrets getting evacuated from the Rift. Inhibitors going to follow suit here. First the mid lane. FLICKR trying to find the bubbles, but they're just not there. Cuzz, he's not going to get taken down. Naehyun just feels like he's immortal even though his flash is on cooldown. And Kahn is playing scared without his slicing Maelstrom. They lose all of their structures surrounding their Nexus turrets. And SKT just look like they have no way out of this scenario.
Well, they don't got too much base either. 3 inhibitors taken down on that push. That's a Baron push you like to see. Haru looking to try to mop up a kill, but turns out Aatrox is just backing. That's pretty alpha back.
That is a real alpha back right there.
I want to go back to one of your points, which was, you know, if you're an LCK fan, you should be a Kingzone fan. Now, this is an SKT series, and obviously they are the dominant fan base globally and also in this game. So, you know, they're sitting there kind of annoyed, right? They're peeved.
Yeah.
What we can say is the silver lining to what is looking like a Kingzone victory for SKT fans is your international competitiveness will be increased having a team like Kingzone in form in your region. Previously, in Korea, there wasn't practice for G2 and IG-esque teams because SKT didn't have to face teams like that. They had to go and play scrims internationally to get practice like that. Now we just have Kingzone, and teams in Korea can learn a thing or two from Kingzone.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Just making sure that you have the competition, have someone showing you how the game should be played, because that just wasn't there. In the spring season, it was the slow and steady teamfight style of SKT that rung true towards the end, and now Kingzone, fast and loose, are taking it to them here on the Rift. We'll see whether SKT can now adapt as we move ever forward in summer, but now Nexus turrets are under fire. SKT will need to start a fight. FLICKR had to use his flash earlier on, and Teddy has to use his Feather Storm. He flashes as well. Blade Caller is decent because he's still got his GA, he's still got his Blade Caller. Pop Blossom, he's gonna land, and Kahn almost murdered before he can get anything done. Deft in the backline is so safe, and the Nexus is focused. Kingzone get the monkey off their back and take down SKT.
And Kingzone Dragon X can confidently say they are the best team in Korea right now. They find SKT fresh off a defeat, and people will want to say otherwise, but they have beaten every team in Korea consecutively in their last meeting. They do it in a style that is both pleasing on the eye, quick, and fits the meta. Their drafting is often very intelligent, and even just the cannon being that kind of awkward lock-in at the end where they're like, wait, where they're going, we can't necessarily counterpick the way we want to, was the reason that things never came together. A confident, mature victory from Kingzone, and if this was with Pawn in the lineup, you put 2 and 2 together and say, yep, they're just ending the thing that started in spring. The fact that it's with Naehyun, that's with another enforced change, put the huddle together, give each other a hug. You guys are doing the right thing. Keep it going, and this is the team to watch if you're a Korean fan.
Absolutely right. And it's going to be 2 losses in a row for SKT. A rough start, but also hopefully a wake-up call for this squad to change that style and work their way into a better idea and understanding of how you win this game in the summer season. Cuzz right there, huge shout out to him. Absolutely fantastic play on the Aatrox. Hard to give an MVP though, because they played very well as a team.
But you know what? You know what the biggest compliment is to the side of Kingzone? Here's the MVP we can always give for all the games Kingzone have played so far this season, all 7 of them.
Yeah.
it used to be a 0-1, a binary, Deft or not Deft.
Yep.
Well, guess what? It's not Deft every time this time, and he's playing his traditional style. TusiN was outrageous this game again, and on the Tom Kench.
The sick Tom Kench mechanics on the bottom side of the map. We're going to be looking for a replay after that, just to once again revel in just how good he was, especially today. I mean, TusiN has had an absolute day out today after his phenomenal MVP performance in game number 1. But it feels like everyone is sharing MVPs. Naehyun, it feels like he was robbed in game 1, but TusiN was just better, even though Naehyun was fantastic on the Azir.
Naehyun's just pretty good, and I think pretty good and consistent. You do lose out of the high highs from Pawn, but you also remove the low lows, at least based on the sample size of 7 games. And the trade-off there, I could understand how that could still be Kingzone's downfall if they still needed the pop-off LeBlanc performance from Klepto LeBlanc from Pawn. But I think when you bring in Naehyun and the drafting is on the level it is from Kingzone, you get the richer side, the positive side of something that can easily be, flipped on the other side. I feel like given how smart their preparation is, having Naehyun hasn't counted against them yet, and if they keep playing that forward and being just a little bit ahead on the razor's edge and understanding what is possible in League of Legends, I'm not going to say Naehyun is an upgrade yet. He doesn't deserve that, but he also hasn't been a downgrade. He has deserved that.
And he's been consistent. I think that's the biggest part of the point you just made, because sometimes you can have too many chefs in the kitchen. This is a thing that's happened with a lot of LCK super teams that have happened in the past, KT being one of them, that ultimately went boom until they managed to figure themselves out afterwards. And SKT could be along those lines unless they figure things out here in summer.
Here's a soundbite. Kingzone are no-one super team, and they're exactly the team Korea needs.
Yeah.
And that's a refreshing thing to see, because knowing your role, we talked about their team play here, it's really a pleasure to watch, There was a real chance that SKT could take them down. I think a furious start to game number 3, they got Cuzz behind. That would have been what it looked like for an SKT victory. Haru comes in, and did SKT learn anything from this series? Because he had a very good game number 2. He definitely wasn't like a star in 1 or 3, but he wasn't necessarily the reason they lost by any means either. So I don't know if you come to the next SKT game and know more confidently what the starting roster should be, and that's not leaving with at least that is going to be kind of a frustrating thing for SKT.
I didn't actually notice how well FLICKR actually played the beginning of that last play and then ultimately fell down. Here was Kahn barely mistiming his entrance into the Baron pit. In a different world where Kahn wasn't 0-2 at the start of that play, could have been very, very different. However, just slightly missed his window, barely.
It'll come back to the draft. Jace was available, you'll remember. Potentially have been taken in the Kennen spot. More gankable, so that was perhaps the reason they went the way of the Kennen, but definitely the trade patterns were the ultra kind of negative reality that some of these Nico lanes can fall into, so I'm sure that will be something that people bemoan, but I don't think this was a drafting loss by SKT. I think it was some smart drafting from Kingzone, and then just overall Kingzone's team play being on another level to SKT, at least now, match day 2 of week 2.
Yeah, and I think it's similar to game number 2, where Haru just absolutely obliterated the jungle. That happened again in this game, but in favor of Cuzz on the Aatrox. The Aatrox jungle was looking absolutely broken, as he did more damage than both of his solo lanes. That is the lowest damage on a Rise I've seen for a very long time. However, he still managed to take down minion waves, and that gold lead is about as linear as you like for a victory that's very comfortable from Kingzone.
And I pointed that out because this was just, we got ahead and we beat the team. And you see this go to gold graph all the time. But this is Kingzone versus SK Telecom T1, your MSI semifinalists, your LCK Spring champions. Usually, SKT gets that counterpunch. There were none available this time, and that also feather in the cap of the Kingzone squad.
Yeah. And it feels like, once again, I mean, the draft was a bit wonky from Kingzone in game number 2, and then they returned the favor onto SKT. A lot of outthinking when it came to the beginning, however, not quite to the same level that SKT put onto Kingzone. I feel like that Gragas Yasuo lock-in was absolutely genius, and then they were floundering from that point on. Not so much floundering from SKT in game number 1, but it was still there, as Cuzz is going to pick up the MVP, absolutely well-deserved. 100% kill contribution on the Aatrox jungle. and just casually meandering in and stealing away Ocean Drakes. That's how he did it.
We've already seen Aatrox junglers that just don't stay ahead of the play, and then you're like, well, I mean, you don't have as many items, so you don't even punish hard when Aatrox usually does in the late game. So you need to be even more point from the jungle, right? Because you are on that far lower income source, and he had a really good game here, I think. Apologies to TusiN, but he already got his MVP for the earlier game.
Yep.
Kingzone Dragon X, I don't want to, beat a dead record, beat a dead horse, or any of those things. It's just, I look at every Kingzone series now, and I want to see how the enemy team plays against them, and I'm just transfixed to know what new stuff Kingzone has.
And now we can find out exactly what they have planned with TusiN and Cuzz alongside. So here's Jason with the translation.
Guys, this is Jason with the YouTube translation, and we're going to be hearing from TusiN and Cuzz from Kingzone. How do you feel about the win, TusiN? Well, during the entire spring split, well, we did drop a set away from them, but this is our first win up against them, so we were really fighting tooth and nail for this, so I'm really happy.
팬분들도 정말 좋으실 것 같아요. 자, 커즈 선수는 오늘 SKT에서 하루를 기용을 했는데 엔트리 딱 보시고 어떠셨나요?
Well, actually had Haru as a starting jungler. What came to your mind when you saw the lineup?
나오셔도 긴장하지 않고 게임에 임하시 있었어요.
I wasn't really that nervous seeing Haru in the
네,
jungle.
오늘도 킹존이 클레드 카직스 정말
In
보기
Kingzone,
어려운
you guys
들고 나왔는데
again tried some
전반적으로
pocket
뱀픽
picks like
전략은
Kled,
어땠는지
Kha'Zix.
궁금해요.
So what kind of drafts did you guys prepare?
일단 언제든지 사용할 수 있는 카드가 되게 많다고
We have a lot of
생각하고
cards in our hand.
상황이 잘 만들어졌던
And
것
we
같아서
had a
이제
very good situation,
카직스나
so
클레드
we were
같은
able
게
to kind
잘
of try
나왔고
Kha'Zix,
경기도 잘 된 것 같아서
Kled, and things like that.
네, 자, 그리고 1세트에서는 투신 선수의
Game number 1, TusiN, your play was outstanding, especially the last team fight was clean and perfect. Let's go through the replay
자,
together.
이때 상황 좀 들어볼게요.
일단
But
이
first,
상황이 저희가 좀 판단을 잘못해서
we actually made a bad decision, so we lost our inhibitor.
그렸던 것 같아서
So,
저희가 싸움
but I think they were a little bit greedy, so I thought that we were able to win the team fight if we open it, so we were able to kind of close out the game.
자, 그런데 이렇게 멋진 장면 만들어냈으면
However,
투신 선수의 보이스에서 좀
TusiN,
아쉬운
in the
부분을
mic check, you didn't really sound that satisfied.
제가 1세트 중간에 좀
Well,
실수가
in
많았던
game
것
number
같아서
1, I made a lot of mistake in the middle of the game
긴장을 해가지고
on Rascal, which I feel really confident with. So I was a little bit disappointed to myself.
네, 하지만 결국 마지막을 화려하게 장식을 해주셨습니다. 자, 그리고 2세트는 커즈 선수가 나름 히든 카드
Well, in game number 2, we could see a pocket pick Kha'Zix on your side. So what kind of feedback and forth after game 2?
아무래도 그때 그 미드 야소 볼 때 너무
Well, when I
무리하게
saw-
본 게
When we were trying some play on Yasuo in the mid lane, I think we were over chasing and we weren't really that thoughtful at that moment.
카이스 사이드를 이용해 먹었어야 되는 것
We actually should
같은데
have tried to go around the side lanes and rotations, so that was kind of the mistakes that we made. Game 3, you played Aatrox in jungle. Did you feel any pressure playing it?
이유, 자신감 좀 궁금하거든요.
많은 사람들이 좀
Well, a lot of people
되게
say
수동적이고
Aatrox is a
감축하는데
very passive
저는
champion
개인적으로
and it's not that good,
자신
but
있고 적극
for me, I think it's a really good champion. I'm really confident with it and I can really use it
자신감이
proactively.
되게 많아서
Especially I have a huge
뛰어났던 것 같아요.
confidence with Aatrox, so we were able to kind of lock it in. Did you told the
제가 이거
coaching staff that you want to play it?
상대로 많이 이길 수 있을
Yeah,
것 같아서
I thought that
좀더
it will be a good matchup up against Rek'Sai. I think I could win him, so I told them that I want to play Aatrox in jungle.
두 분이 동시에 강타를 쓰셨는데
In the
투신
Baron,
선수가 가져가게 됐어요.
actually,
그때
you guys
얘기도 좀
smited
들어볼게요.
at the same
저희가
time, and
화면이
TusiN
준비가 되어 있습니다.
was the one that picked up the last shot.
일단 저희가 스마가 두 개라서
We had double smite on our side,
확률적으로 저희가
so we
먹을
had a
수 있는
very
확률이
high
높았고,
possibility
저희는
of
약간
taking
현이랑
that
계속
Baron.
맞춰왔을 때
And
이렇게 해서 진짜 단 한 번도 뺏겨본 적이 없어서
We
그냥 좀더
had actually practiced a
확신하고
lot using
저희가
smite
하나,
at the
둘, 셋
same time
하면서
with
먹었던 것
jungle and support, so we were
커즈
pretty
선수
confident.
불주의 신이다 이런 생각이 드는 장면들이 많은데 커즈 선수 입장에서는
Cuzz,
이렇게 같이 강타를 써주면
using
오직
smite
더
together,
하신가요?
does it kind of boost your
정욱이 형이
confidence?
아무래도 예전에 정글을
Well, TusiN
했었어서
used to
그런지
play in jungle
더잘
back in the
써서
days,
더 좋은 것 같아요.
so he uses smite
네,
really well, so it really helps me out a
멋진
lot.
킹존의 모습 오늘도 잘 봤습니다. 유일하게 전승을 달리고 있는
You guys
팀입니다.
are the
한국의
only
G2다.
undefeated team in LCK
이렇게
currently.
많이
You guys are
보여준다
the
이런
G2
얘기들이
in
있는데
LCK. You
실제로
guys are
좀
adapting a lot of
플레이가
LEC style.
궁금하네요, 투신 선수.
So do you actually watch LCK a lot and kind of adapt their style?
내려주는 건 되게 좋은
I'm really
영향인 것
happy
같고,
that we are getting so much
저희 코치님,
praise of
감독님뿐만
our
아니라
play
선수들
style.
되게 해외 리그 뭐
Well,
LCS,
our
뭐
coaching staff
LCS라던가 이제
and all the players are always watching
LCK,
LEC, LCS, and also LPL. So we try to learn a lot from them, especially about the draft and plays. So it really helps us a lot.
정말 잘 해주시는 것 같고요. 자, 아프리카전이 이제 다음 경기예요.
next game will be up against
킹존만큼이나
Africa.
색다른 픽들
And
많이
Africa,
구성하는데요.
they are also the
어떻게
team of
대비하실
new
생각인지
styles and
들어볼게요.
play styles. So how are we going to prepare for that?
되게 잘 하시는 것 같아서 더
Well, Dread,
조심히
his performance is on point, so
열심히 준비해야 될 것
I have
같고요.
to stay alert and prepare a lot.
좀 다양한 픽을 추구하는
Yeah,
것
Africa,
같아서
they also prefers a lot of new
잘
draft
준비해야 될
and
것 같아요.
styles, so I think
네,
we
알겠습니다.
really have to go
응원하도록
back and
하겠습니다. 오늘 인터뷰
prepare a lot.
감사합니다.
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 네, 킹존의 투신
This
선수,
will be
커즈
the end
선수
of the interview
함께했습니다.
with TusiN
중계상
and I'm going to
연결할게요.
pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, G-Sun, and we just need to do some double checking on
Yeah.
our paper because in 2 days' time, Kings are gonna have to run it back yet again, facing FLICKR Freaks who are on a tear after their victory over SKT. This is one hell of a week, Papa Smithy.
And that one's going to be fun because Kingzone are really decisive. Aggressive is the wrong word, but decisive, right? They don't have to get 10 kills in the first 10 minutes, but they're always building towards something. The scary thing about FLICKR is you know that they're willing to blow themselves up if it drags
Yeah.
the enemy down with them. And that's the thing that could be so interesting here, is FLICKR is that team that could be anywhere on the map rather than just the conventional places. So that one could be anything from a barn burner to just some abstract art. Who knows?
Yeah, and we look at SKT and they play pretty reserved, especially from the draft, things like that. But FLICKR, they take risks in the draft. They leave things open. They pick crazy stuff. They do whatever the heck they want. And that's going to be very exciting to watch. And some really interesting games coming up tomorrow, as well as you and Brendan Valdez will be taking to the Rift as KT versus Damwon, and then Griffin versus Hanwha.
I'm actually really excited about the first game because if you ask me where they're at with either of these teams, I don't know. So
Neither do
knowing
I,
who's the
yeah.
better one means a lot to me right now. I want to know who's on the up and who's on the down here because Damwon, again, decent first showing, didn't win. They don't have a match win just yet. They're just debuting for this week number 2. KT Rolster, again, we loved seeing Prey. We were smiling about them. They're good, but how good?
Yeah, and also top side of the map is going to be an interesting one. Flame and Smeb, 2 veterans, as well as the 2 youngins in Kingen and Nogari.
Okay.
Exciting to see who they're going to be fielding in that one. But guys, that's going to be it for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow for more LCK Summer action.
You take me higher when I feel low. Make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, all with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. 'Cause this is the beginning. Together we'll be winning. With you I'm a savage. Make my sorrows chilling. 'Cause with you I'm feeling feather light like a feather. With you I'm a savage. Make my sorrows chilling. 'Cause with you I'm feeling feather light. White like the wind, high like again. So wherever you taught me loving without all the bling. You're all I need. This place won't grind me down.